Prompt you provided is chilling and layered with mystery, perfect for a suspense or horror story. Here's a concise response to explore its implications and offer some creative directions, assuming you're looking for analysis or ideas to expand on it. The call from your daughter's number 5 years after her disappearance shatters the fragile normalcy you've clung to since losing her. Her whispered warning, "Don't trust mom," is a gut punch, especially since your wife has been dead for 3 years. This raises immediate questions. Is it really your daughter? If so, where has she been and why is she contacting you now? The mention of your deceased wife suggests something far stranger than a simple kidnapping, perhaps a supernatural force, a psychological manipulation, or a hidden truth about your wife's death. Here are a few directions to explore this prompt. Supernatural angle. Your daughter's voice could be a manifestation of something otherworldly, perhaps a malevolent entity mimicking her to lure you into a trap. Your wife's death might not have been natural. Maybe she was involved in something occult that led to your daughter's disappearance. Investigate the house's history or any strange behaviors your wife exhibited before her death. Psychological thriller. The call could be a cruel prank or a sign you're unraveling under grief. Perhaps you've suppressed memories of what happened 5 years ago, and the call triggers a dive into your psyche. Could mom refer to someone else? A stepmother, a family friend, or even a distorted memory? Conspiracy twist. Your wife's death was staged, and she's alive, orchestrating events from the shadows. Your daughter's warning suggests she's uncovered something about her mother's true nature. Dig into your wife's past. Did she have secrets, debts, or connections to dangerous people? Time slip / sci-fi. The call might not be from the present. Your daughter could be stuck in a temporal anomaly, reaching out from the day she vanished, warning you about something your wife was about to do. This could tie to experimental tech or a local anomaly in your town. The phone trembled in my hand as her voice, a little girl's voice, crackled through the static. "Dad, it's me. Don't trust mom." The line went dead before I could speak, leaving only the hollow buzz of a disconnected call. My heart pounded, each beat a hammer against my ribs. It was her number, Clara's number, the one I'd called 1,000 times after she vanished, until the carrier finally cut the line. I hadn't deleted it from my contacts, couldn't bear to even after 5 years. I sat frozen in the dim kitchen, the same kitchen where Clara used to draw stick-figure families on construction paper. The clock ticked past midnight, its rhythm too loud in the silence. My wife, Ellen, stared back at me from the framed photo on the counter, her smile frozen, her eyes warm but distant. She'd been gone 3 years, killed in a car accident that left me picking up pieces of a life I barely recognized. So why was Clara, if it was Clara, warning me about her? I checked the call log again. Unknown number, but the voicemail icon blinked. My fingers fumbled as I hit play. Static hissed, then her voice again, small and urgent. "Dad, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave. They made me. She's not what you think. Check the attic, please." The message cut off with a sharp click like someone had yanked the phone away. The attic, Ellen's space. She'd spent hours up there before Clara disappeared, sorting through old books, muttering about organizing. I'd never questioned it. Grief makes you blind to the past. But now doubt gnawed at me. Ellen's late nights, her sudden silences, the way she'd locked the attic door behind her. I'd assumed it was her way of coping with Clara's loss. What if it wasn't? I grabbed a flashlight from the drawer, its beam cutting through the dark as I climbed the creaky stairs. The attic door was at the end of the hall, its paint chipped, the lock rusted. I hadn't been up there since Ellen's death. The key was still in the junk drawer downstairs, but my hands shook as I turned it, the mechanism grinding like it hadn't been touched in years. The attic smelled of dust and something sharp, like old metal. The flashlight swept over cardboard boxes, a cracked mirror and stacks of Ellen's books, old leather-bound things she'd collected from estate sales. I stepped forward, floorboards groaning, and noticed something odd. A small, child-sized handprint in the dust on a box. My breath caught. Clara's. I tore open the box, heart racing. Inside were notebooks, dozens of them, filled with Ellen's tight, frantic handwriting. Dates, times, locations, pages of meticulous notes. One entry, dated the week Clara vanished, read, "C must be protected. They're watching. The ritual is ready." Ritual? My stomach churned. I flipped further, finding sketches of symbols, circles within circles, jagged lines like claws. A photo slipped out. Clara smiling in our backyard, but behind her, blurred in the background, was a figure. Tall, too thin, its face obscured. I hadn't noticed it before. The attic door slammed shut behind me. I spun, flashlight shaking, but no one was there. The air grew heavy, like a storm was pressing down. Then from the corner, a whisper, not Clara's, but lower, colder, "You shouldn't be here." I stumbled back, knocking over a stack of books. The flashlight flickered, and for a moment I swore I saw Ellen standing in the mirror's reflection, her eyes black, her smile wrong. I blinked and she was gone. My phone buzzed in my pocket, nearly making me scream. Another call, unknown number. I answered, my voice barely a croak. "Clara?" No response, just breathing, slow, deliberate. Then a voice that wasn't Clara's but sounded like it was trying to be. "Check the backyard." The line went dead. My phone felt like a lead weight in my hand as I stood in the attic, the whispered words, "Check the backyard," echoing in my skull. The voice had sounded wrong, like Clara's but stretched, as if something else was wearing her words. The attic air was stifling, the shadows too thick, and that handprint in the dust burned in my mind. I stumbled to the door, half expecting it to be locked, but it creaked open easily, the hallway beyond unnaturally quiet. Downstairs, the house felt alive in a way it hadn't in years. The floorboards seemed to pulse under my feet, and every creak sounded like a whisper. I grabbed a shovel from the garage, more for protection than digging, and stepped out into the backyard. The night was moonless, the air heavy with the scent of damp grass and something sour like rotting leaves. The flashlight beam danced across the familiar space. The rusted swing set Clara loved, the flower bed Ellen tended obsessively, the oak tree where we'd hung a tire swing that still swayed slightly, though there was no wind. I didn't know what I was looking for, but Clara's disappearance had started here. 5 years ago, she'd been playing near the swing set while I was inside making dinner. 1 minute she was laughing, the next, silence. The police combed every inch, nothing. No footprints, no fibers, no sign she'd ever left the yard. Now standing in the same spot, I felt watched, the hairs on my neck prickling. I moved toward the flower bed, Ellen's pride and joy. She'd spent hours there even after Clara vanished, planting roses that never bloomed. The soil looked undisturbed, but something glinted in the flashlight's beam, a sliver of metal buried under the dirt. I dropped to my knees, clawing at the earth with the shovel. My hands shook as I uncovered a small, tarnished locket, Clara's, the one she'd worn every day, engraved with her initials. My throat tightened. How had the police missed this? I pried it open. Inside was a tiny, folded piece of paper, damp but intact. I unfolded it, heart pounding. It was Ellen's handwriting, a single line. "The gate opens at midnight. Don't follow." Below it was a symbol from her notebooks, a circle with jagged lines radiating like a fractured star. My stomach lurched. The gate? What gate? A low hum started, faint at first, like a distant engine. It grew louder, vibrating through the ground, making my teeth ache. The air shimmered near the oak tree, the darkness folding in on itself, like heat rising off pavement. I staggered back, clutching the locket as a shape formed in the distortion. A tall, too thin figure, just like the one in the attic photo. Its limbs were wrong, too long, bending at angles that made my skin crawl. Its face was a blur, but I felt its gaze, heavy and cold. "Clara," I whispered, voice breaking. The figure didn't move, but the hum intensified, and I heard her voice, not from the figure, but from everywhere, like it was woven into the air. "Dad, it's not safe," she lied. "Who lied? Ellen?" I shouted, gripping the shovel. The figure tilted its head, and for a split second its face sharpened, Ellen's eyes, black and endless, staring through me. I swung the shovel instinctively, but it passed through the figure like smoke. The hum stopped, the air snapped back to normal, and the figure was gone. My phone buzzed again. I fumbled it out, hands trembling. Another voicemail. I hit play, dreading what I'd hear. Clara's voice, weaker now, barely audible over static. "Dad, I'm still here under the tree. She gave me to them." The message ended with a sound like a scream cut short. I turned to the oak tree, its branches clawing at the sky. The tire swing spun slowly, unprovoked. I drove the shovel into the soil at the tree's base, dirt flying as I dug deeper than I thought possible. The ground was soft, too soft, like it had been disturbed recently. 2 feet down, the shovel hit something hard. I dropped to my knees, scraping away the earth with my hands, and uncovered a wooden trapdoor, etched with the same fractured star symbol. My breath caught. This wasn't here 5 years ago. Or was it? The police had searched the yard, but had I ever looked this closely? I pried the trapdoor open, revealing a narrow, stone-lined tunnel descending into darkness. A cold draft rose, carrying a faint whisper, Clara's voice calling my name. What's happening? The backyard reveals a hidden truth. Clara's locket and Ellen's cryptic note point to a deliberate act, possibly a ritual ordeal tied to the mysterious. The trapdoor under the oak tree suggests a physical or supernatural passage, hinting that Clara might be trapped in another place, alive or something else. The too thin figure and Ellen's distorted appearance deepen the supernatural horror, while her notebooks and the locket suggest she was complicit in Clara's disappearance, perhaps to protect her or for a darker purpose. New layers. The trapdoor implies a hidden space, possibly a literal or metaphysical gate Ellen referenced. It could lead to a physical hideout, a supernatural realm, or a place where time behaves strangely. Ellen's role is ambiguous. Was she a victim, coerced into a ritual, or a willing participant? Her notes suggest obsession or fear of they. The figure's appearance as Ellen raises questions. Is it her ghost, a projection of the narrator's guilt, or something mimicking her to manipulate him? Clara's repeated messages grow weaker, suggesting urgency or fading strength, possibly indicating she's trapped in a liminal space. Possible next directions. Enter the tunnel. The narrator descends, facing physical or psychological dangers, perhaps encountering Clara, Ellen, or they. This could reveal the ritual's nature or Clara's true state. Confront the past. Flashbacks to Ellen's behavior before Clara's disappearance could reveal her involvement with a cult, supernatural entity, or secret society. External help. The narrator could seek out someone, a friend, a paranormal expert, or a detective, who knows about Ellen's past or the symbols, adding context but new risks. Clara's voice. Another call or message could clarify whether Clara is alive, a spirit, or a lure, pushing the narrator toward a desperate choice. The trapdoor gaped like a wound in the earth, the stone-lined tunnel below swallowing the flashlight's beam. Clara's voice, her faint, desperate whisper echoed in my head. "I'm still here, under the tree." My hands were slick with sweat, the shovel still clutched like a lifeline, though it felt useless against whatever waited below. The locket with Ellen's cryptic note. "The gate opens at midnight, don't follow," burned in my pocket. It was past midnight now. I was already breaking her warning. I lowered myself into the tunnel, the stone steps cold and slick under my boots. The air was thick, damp, carrying a metallic tang that clung to my throat. The walls were carved with symbols, more of those fractured stars from Ellen's notebooks, their jagged lines glowing faintly, like they were drinking in the darkness. Each step downward felt like sinking into a dream, the kind where you know you're falling but can't stop. The tunnel leveled out after a dozen steps, opening into a small chamber. The flashlight flickered, casting jagged shadows across rough-hewn walls. In the center was a circular stone slab, etched with a larger version of the star symbol, its lines deep and stained dark. Blood, ink, I couldn't tell. Scattered around it were objects that stopped my heart. Clara's stuffed rabbit, its ear torn, a lock of her blonde hair tied with a red ribbon, and one of Ellen's leather-bound notebooks open to a page that read, "The exchange is complete. She's theirs now." My knees buckled. "Exchange? Ellen, what did you do?" I grabbed the notebook, hands trembling as I scanned her words. The entries were frantic, dated days before Clara vanished. They promised to spare her if I gave her up. The gate demands a price. I can't lose them both. Another page later. "I lied to him. He can't know. The ritual binds her to the other side." My vision blurred, grief, rage, betrayal. Ellen hadn't just failed to protect Clara. She'd given her away. A low hum started again, like in the backyard, vibrating through the stone. The air shimmered above the slab, and that too-thin figure appeared again, its limbs folding unnaturally, its face a blur except for those black, endless eyes. This time it spoke, its voice a warped echo of Ellen's. "You shouldn't have come. She's not yours anymore." "Where is she?" I screamed, swinging the shovel. It passed through the figure, but the air cracked like glass and the hum stopped. The figure dissolved, leaving behind a faint outline of light, a doorway shimmering in the center of the slab. Clara's voice came again, clearer now from beyond it. "Dad, help me, it's dark." I didn't think. I stepped onto the slab, the light enveloping me. The world twisted, colors bleeding into gray, and suddenly I was somewhere else. A vast, shadowed place where the ground pulsed like a heartbeat. The air was heavy, voices whispering just out of reach. Ahead, a small figure sat curled up, her back to me. Clara, her hair was longer, tangled, but it was her. "Clara!" I ran to her, dropping the shovel. She turned, and my blood ran cold. Her face was hers, those wide blue eyes, that freckled nose, but her smile was wrong, too sharp, too knowing. "You shouldn't trust her," she said, her voice layered with something older, colder. "Mom made a deal. She traded me to save herself." "Clara, what?" Before I could finish, the ground shuddered and the shadows around us thickened, forming shapes tall, thin, faceless. They moved closer, their whispers growing louder, words I couldn't understand but felt like knives in my mind. Clara, or whatever was pretending to be her, grabbed my hand, her grip icy. "They're coming, Dad. You have to choose, me or her." "Her," I stammered. A figure stepped from the shadows, Ellen, but not Ellen. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow, her hands stained with that same dark substance from the slab. She didn't speak, but her gaze was a plea or maybe a warning. The whispers became a roar, the shadows closing in. Clara's grip tightened, her nails digging into my skin. "Choose," she hissed. "What's happening?" The tunnel leads to a ritual chamber, confirming Ellen's involvement in a supernatural exchange that traded Clara to an unknown entity or realm. The otherworldly space beyond the slab suggests Clara is trapped in a liminal dimension. But her altered demeanor hints she may be changed or controlled by the entities. Ellen's appearance raises questions about her death. Was it faked? Or is this a manifestation of her guilt or soul bound by the ritual? The demand to choose sets up a moral and emotional dilemma, with the stakes unclear but dire. New layers, the ritual chamber and slab suggest a deliberate act by Ellen, possibly to appease or bargain with otherworldly beings. Her motives, self-preservation or protecting Clara, are murky. Clara's changed behavior implies she's either corrupted by the entities or not entirely herself, raising doubts about whether she can be saved. Ellen's presence in the other realm complicates her death. Is she a ghost, a projection, or alive in some form? Her silence contrasts with Clara's insistence, deepening the mystery. The choice suggests a trap or test, with consequences for both Clara and Ellen, and possibly the narrator's own soul.